Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Miracle of a Community That Cares. My name is Zak Clayton, President and Founder, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels. And I want to welcome you to our event that we're trying to make sure that even though we understand this is the happiest holiday season of them all, it's very, very troubling for some. We also want you to know that we don't think anybody should be able to go without or have to go without. So, what we're trying to do is bring forth people who love and respect and honor others. We have readings from everyone, or from people around the globe. We're going to have a jolly man who wears red from England reading a couple stories that he has written himself. Somebody that the kids are just going to love. We've got our friend that you're going to hear from in a minute, Miss Maggie van Galen, who's reading her book, one of the books that she wrote, The Banana Tree, from the Kino and Ernest series. I can't sit like that for very long, so sorry about that. We've also got another great Santa Claus from right here in the U.S., out of Canada. Another really good friend of mine who's going to be joining us and reading a few more stories. We've got recordings from people who just want to say hi and wish you the happiest of holidays. But I would like to begin with this. I want to say thank you to everyone who has to work this holiday season, who sacrifices being away from their families. Whether you are a service person who is deployed in a different city, a different state, or a different country, or you're a dishwasher who tirelessly works every day trying to make a living and trying to support people in your family or even just yourself. Thank you for what you do. Thank you so very much. You keep our country running. You keep our civilization running. And it's because of you, lives are better. Thank you. From truck drivers to doctors to nurses to first responders, police officers. Oh God, I could continue forever. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for serving us. I also want to say a very, very special thank you to my mother, Lola, my father, Jerry, my brothers, Isaac, Christian, Emily, Colin, to his wife, Paula. Thank you. I love you all. Happy holidays. To Charlie and Alicia, with Christopher, little Brando, who is getting married. I wish I knew your wife's name, Brando, but congratulations and welcome to the family. And to Landon, thank you. I love you. Merry Christmas. To my beautiful wife, Adrienne, I love you, sweetie. And thank you for bringing a whole new side to my life. To our kids, Brittany and Josh, with our grandkids, Drake, Aiden, Addison, Gabe, and Tommy. Love you guys. Got a very special message coming a little bit later on. Kayla, You and Jaden have brought so much joy to my life. First off, with your bread. I love your sourdough bread. And we get to spend more time with you because you're closer than the other kids. Kinsley. And little Paisley. Our baby grandbabies. I love you too. I love you four, but I really love you too. Papa's got a special message for you a little bit later on too. Mason and Elaine, you both traveled all the way from Oklahoma last year. I wish you were here again this year, but I want you two to know I love you. We miss you guys this year. Hopefully we can all get together again next year. Free boy, we're not doing this live because you've come back into the country. You live in Japan. My son lives in Japan. He teaches English to children in Japan. And he's bringing a very special lady, Maka. And I'm so proud that you're part of our lives, Maka. Welcome. Yeah. Welcome to our family. Welcome to our family Christmas this year. And the baby of the family, Justice, who's not a baby. He's bigger than Daddy. Much bigger than Daddy. And Gabby. Gabby, you've been a part of our family now for a couple years, and I don't want to any other way. I love you like a daughter. I consider you a daughter. I love you so very much, and I thank you, and I love you. I love having our families together whenever we can get together. Christmas and the holidays are always a time for celebration and for families. But we understand that not every family can be together. I just mentioned a couple of our kids who aren't going to be able to be here. My sons are going to be here for the first time for Christmas in a couple of years. It's not ideal. And we understand how trying this can be. But it doesn't matter if you're not Christian and you don't celebrate Christmas. People who are, the Jewish population, they miss their kids around this time of year too, even if they don't celebrate Christmas. This is still a time that they wish they were with their families. Just because you celebrate different doesn't mean that you don't miss, that you don't love, that you don't support. I wish that we had somebody on here who could explain to us a little bit about Kwanzaa. I really want to know about the traditions and things like that. I would really like to know about the celebrations of the Muslim world. Maybe next year we'll be able to do this. A miracle of a community that cares will be back next year, and it will be bigger and better. We're very proud of where we're at right now. Worked hard with the people that you're going to see for the next couple hours. Throughout these 37 hours. I'm proud of what we've done for this first year. We've had some wonderful, wonderful sponsors. Wendy Lyon, thank you very much for supporting and getting us off the ground. Welcome to the Community Pay It Forward family. Santa Mike, who you're going to be hearing a couple stories from. In England, the Hensley Santa. Santa Papa John, who you're going to hear from a little ways down the road. The Roskopf crew, everyone involved in that. You guys have about an hour that you're going to be talking to people about some of the wonderful things that you do in celebration of our great friends at Project Die Hard. trying to be there. Not trying, they are being there for our veterans. Again, folks, I'm sorry, let me continue this. My friends at Key Largo Lounge with the Chili Cook-Off and Toy Drive. You guys helped get us kicked off with our toy drive, our book drive, where we were able to collect some gifts and things for people, for our kids in Northern Colorado hospitals, including books from Maggie van Galen that we're going to be dropping off this coming up Tuesday. Z World Webs, my brother Z. Les Simpson, who you're going to hear from, he and his wife. So many more. But we're going to get this kicked off with our brand new friend to the program, brand new family member to the program, Maggie van Galen, who is being brought to you by she's a lot of stuff going on, folks. This is a funny story here before I get started. My computer, this little fella back here, decided to completely crash on me yesterday. He tried to sabotage us, but this program is so important. There was no way I was going to let it work. Holly Miller is bringing you the Maggie van Galen readings. Holly Miller is not just a community pay it forward partner, family giving partner. She's also a mission partner. We're trying to raise money to help her build her program and to give away scholarships for women who need her support. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but you can find Holly and her program if you scan the QR code above, where it's going to replace this one here when Maggie's reading. But I would like to present to you first the reading by Maggie van Galen. She's going to be reading The Banana Tree in her series of Keno and Ernest. Welcome to a miracle of a community that cares. This holiday season, as the world celebrates in so many ways, some families are facing it apart, feeling the weight of loneliness. At a miracle of a community that cares, we are creating a space where everyone, regardless of faith or background, can share in the joy of this wonderful season. Join Santa and leaders from all walks of life for stories, special shout-outs, and heartfelt messages from loved ones near and far. Children are taking the lead with art and fun, helping us bring the gift of books to children everywhere. Children in hospitals, children to families of all faiths, and to fortify traditions of families. This season, let's come together as a global community. One that cares, one that gives, and one that embraces all cultures, part of the miracle. Join us from December 24th to December 26th, and let's make this season unforgettable for everyone. No problem. Hey, everybody, I'm being joined by author and a great friend, a sister in the Pay It Forward program, Miss Maggie van Galen. How are you doing, Maggie?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Zach. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. You are taking part in building a miracle of a community that cares, and you're doing this as a volunteer. You are going to read from your series of books, The Banana Tree, which is a book from the Keno and Ernest series. This series does consist of 3 books, and we're going to be giving away a copy of these 3 books to the hospitals, which I'm proud to be doing that. And this is being brought to you by our friend Holly Miller, who has taken a terrible situation in her own life. Her and a friend were hurt very badly when she was a child. And she ended up losing her friend because her friend did not have a place to go. So Holly has built a program to help you both personally and professionally rebuild your life and live the life that you want. So Holly Miller is bringing you the reading of Maggie van Galen and The Banana Tree. Maggie, what are these books about?
Thank you, and thank you to Holly. Yes, so The Adventures of Kino and Ernest, the general premise is that Kino is a sort of silly, adventurous little monkey who always seems to be getting himself into trouble. And his best friend in the jungle is Ernest, who's an elephant, a little bit wise beyond his years. And he helps Kino get out of trouble. So along the way, Kino learns some very valuable lessons. In the first book, he learns about friendship and following family rules. In the second book, The Diamond Mine, he learns about asking before taking. And in the third book, A New Friend, he learns about staying true to himself and not changing so others will like him.
Well, I'm excited to hear this. I'm going to get my fat head off the screen, and I am going to let you take over. Proud to present our friend, our partner in the giving family, Maggie van Galen, with The Banana Tree. Thank you very much for reading this, and I will be back in about 20 minutes.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to share my screen. Hold on one second. There we go. Awesome. There we go. So, like I said, my name is Maggie van Galen. I'm an author and a wordsmith, and I'm so excited and honored to be able to support Zach and his Community Pay It Forward program and the Miracle program by offering my books and this reading. So I hope you enjoy. Before we get started, I would love everybody that's watching to close their eyes and imagine that they're in the jungle. And I've never been to the jungle myself, but I envision it being very warm and humid, maybe some animal sounds, maybe you can hear water dripping, very green. And the reason that I do this is that I want everybody to sort of transport themselves into the setting of the book, which takes place in the jungle. So now that you're all in the jungle, we're going to go to the first story. All right. Once upon a time, deep in the jungle, there lived two best friends. The first was a very mischievous monkey named Kino, and Kino was always getting himself into trouble. But thankfully for Kino, his best friend in the whole jungle was a wise elephant named Ernest, and Ernest was always there for Kino. One day, while Kino was swinging on the vines high up in the jungle canopy, he spotted a bright yellow glow off in the distance. As he moved closer, he saw a giant, yummy banana tree just on the other side of the river. "Wow," said Kino as his tummy started to rumble. "Look at all of those bananas. I've got to tell Ernest about this." He swung down from the vine, shouting, "Ernest, where are you?" Ernest, who was busy munching on leaves, heard Kino's call and looked up. Kino was so excited he was out of breath. Ernest, guess what I just found? It's a huge banana tree with hundreds, maybe even thousands of super yummy bananas. It's way better than our old banana tree. Let's go get some." "Okay, I'm right behind you. Show me the way," Ernest said. Kino was already starting to swing toward the newly found tree and yelled back, "This way, just across the river." "Wait a minute," said Ernest. "Did you say across the river? We can't cross the river. Our parents told us never to cross the river without them. Remember? It's too dangerous, Kino. The river's wide and the current runs super fast. Plus, Mom told me there's things in there that might want to eat me." I know, said Kino, but I looked at the current, and it's not so fast today. Plus, if I ride on your back and we cross by the bamboo tree where it's not so wide, we'll be fine. You're so big and strong, nobody will bother us. Please, Ernest, please. Ernest was thinking hard about Kino's plans. Those bananas did sound like a tasty treat, but he knew that Kino's adventures usually went wrong, and that his parents would be really disappointed if he didn't follow their rules. I don't want to go, Ernest finally said. A banana's a banana. Let's just go up to our old favorite tree and get some there. But those aren't as big or as yellow as the ones on the new tree, Kino complained. No, it's too dangerous, said Ernest, and I don't want to get in trouble with Mom and Dad. Okay, fine, Kino said with a pout on his face. I guess I'll meet you up at the old tree. Ernest started off, and Kino swung back up in the jungle, planning to meet him there. As Ernest got higher up, he saw those bananas across the tree again. They were shimmering in the late morning sun and looked so delicious. Suddenly, Kino had an idea. I know! I'll build a raft out of bamboo and vines, and I'll float across the river, grab a bunch of bananas, and surprise Ernest. I'll be back before he even gets up to the old tree. He's going to be so sorry to have missed this fun adventure. Well, it didn't take long for Kino to put together his raft. He put 10 bamboo poles side by side and tied them together with a vine. He grabbed an extra long pole to use as a stick or a paddle to get across the river. He pushed off from the riverbank and slowly started floating across the river. Ha! This is easy, Kino said to himself with a smile. The shiny new banana tree was getting closer and closer. He could almost taste the new bananas. But as the raft got closer to the middle of the river, a funny thing started to happen. Instead of going across the river, Kino started to float down the river. He paddled harder, but it didn't make any difference. The current was too strong and began to carry Kino away. What am I going to do? Thought Kino. As he was trying to sort out how he would get himself out of this mess, he heard a dull roaring noise up in the distance. What's that? Kino said aloud. It can't be the lions. They sleep during the day. It can't be a thunderstorm. It's a beautiful blue sky. The noise was getting louder and louder as Kino went further down the river. Kino was getting worried. Just then, Kino and Ernest's friend, Toucan Tom, flew overhead. His rainbow-colored beak was shining bright in the morning sun. Tom looked down and saw Kino waving frantically at him. He swooped down and landed on the raft. Nice raft, Kino, Tom said. What are you doing? Kino told him the whole story of the banana tree, the raft, his plan to surprise Ernest with the new bananas, and the current taking him away. By the way, Tom, Kino said, what's that loud noise up ahead? That's the waterfall, Kino, Tom said in a worried voice. And you're headed straight for it. Waterfall? Kino started to get scared. Tom, you have to find Ernest. He'll know what to do. He always knows what to do. Quick, he's headed up to the old banana tree. Tell him what happened and bring him back. Tom flew off as fast as his wings could carry him. Hurry, shouted Kino. Well, it didn't take long for Tom to find Ernest. Ernest, Ernest, Tom said. He was yelling as he dove through the forest, weaving in and out of vines and narrowly missing trees. Ernest looked up in surprise. What is it, Tom? It's Kino, screeched Tom. He's in trouble on the river. On the river? Said Ernest. Yes, come quickly, hurry. I'll tell you on the way, said Tom. Toucan Tom repeated the story that Kino had told and explained how about the waterfall and how Kino was only moments away from real danger. "You have to do something, Ernest," said Tom with a fearful look in his eyes. Ernest was already running at top speed, slaloming trees and trampling bushes. He was thinking and planning as he went. As they neared the riverbank, he could see Kino drifting toward the waterfall. He was waving his arms and yelling, "Help me! Oh, Ernest, please help me!" "Don't worry, Kino," Ernest said. "I'll save you." Ernest ran up ahead to look at the waterfall and plan his rescue. He noticed that just before the falls, the river narrowed, and on the opposite side, a tree had toppled over and stuck straight out. Ernest devised the rescue plan. He would wade out into the river and stretch his trunk as far as he could. And Tom could fly over to the fallen tree to mark it. Kino could then jump to either side. It was his only chance. Ernest told Tom the plan, and Tom flew out to the raft to relay it to Kino. Kino was still scared, but he knew that Ernest was his best friend and had never let him down before. As his raft rounded the last bend in the river, Kino could see Ernest, only his head and trunk above the water, and Toucan Tom was perched on the tip of the tree that reached out from the other side. Kino began to paddle as hard and as fast as he could. He was trying to aim for Ernest, and much to his delight, the raft was going in the right direction. "I'm going to be saved," thought Kino delightedly. Kino was within arm's reach of Ernest when suddenly the raft spun around from a change in the current. Kino almost lost his balance, but thanks to his good jumping, he leapt towards Ernest and just managed to wrap his tail around Ernest's trunk. The raft shot out from underneath him and went over the waterfall, and the three friends watched as the raft broke into little pieces. Kino was shaking with fright and relief. Ernest slowly backed out of the water. He lowered his trunk to the ground, but Kino wouldn't let go. "I'm so sorry, Ernest," Kino cried. "Thank you for saving me." "Well, of course you're welcome, Kino," Ernest said. "I'm just glad you're all right and didn't get hurt. But you should never have tried to cross the river. There are reasons our parents don't let us. I'd say this is a pretty good one, wouldn't you?" "I know," said Kino, still shaken. "You're my best friend in the whole jungle, Ernest, and I promise never to get into any more trouble." Ernest laughed. "Well, I doubt that," he said. "But you're my best friend too, and I will always be there to get you out of trouble. Now, let's go home and tell our parents what happened." Before heading home, though, the two friends decided to head up to their old favorite banana tree and bring a bunch of yummy bananas home to Kino's mom. She makes the best banana cream pie in the whole jungle, and maybe, just maybe, it would make telling her what happened a little easier. The end. So that is the first story in the Adventures of Kino and Ernest, the Banana Tree, which I'm so excited to share with you all today. And there are two other books, as Zak mentioned, in the series. We have The Diamond Mine, where Kino learns about about asking before taking. He finds a very fun, shiny object and thinks that he needs to have it and takes it without asking and then ends up in trouble. So find out what the adventure is in that. And then the third book is called A New Friend, where Kino meets a very fancy new friend and wants to be just like him. So he changes who he is, changes what he looks like, just to have a new friend. And he learns a lesson the hard way that you should stay true to yourself. But Ernest is there to help him along the way. Now, as an author, I also have another series that I would love to share with you. It's called the King's Day Out series. And there's two books in this series. There's The Car Wash and King Takes a Bath. And in this series, the child in the story is our hero, and he suffers from from sensory processing challenges. But he's learned ways to manage his fears and anxieties working with an occupational therapist. And he teaches his friend King, the puppy, how to overcome different sensory input areas using the tools that he's learned in OT. So our goal for this series is to empower kiddos as they navigate through life's everyday sensory adventures. And if you'd like to learn more about any of the books, please feel free to visit my website at maggievangalen.com. For each of the series, there are a host of free downloadable activities for the kiddos. There's some resources for teachers and parents as well. So I hope you truly enjoyed our reading today. And if you would like another reading or you are interested in more of the books, please let me know. And again, any books purchased today will go to support Zak's miracle cause and get the books into the hands of children in hospitals, and will support Holly. So thank you very much. I hope you had a great time with the reading today, and I hope you all have wonderful holidays and a very happy and safe new year. Take care.
Community Pay It Forward is excited to bring you a one-time year-end offer. Sign up for a gold or platinum giving or sponsorship package before December 31st, and we'll give you 2026 free of charge. That's a whole extra year of community support, visibility, and impact. Help your business grow while making a difference. With our exclusive packages, you're not just a sponsor, you're a partner in creating change. Offer ends December 31st, 2024. Reach out today and lock in your gold or platinum package before this offer ends. Let's make 2025 and 2026 years to remember. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together.
Slide above doesn't do anything else.
Well, I didn't find it. No.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Zak Clayton here on A Miracle for a Community That Cares, and I'm being joined by a really good friend. You know him, does a show with us every month, Mr. Les Simpson, and his beautiful wife, Suzanne. How are you both?
Doing great.
Very well, thank you.
Enjoying the holidays.
Yeah, Suzanne, it's been a couple of years since we were able to talk to you. I know that you joined us once for the 22-hour podcast, and now you guys would like to participate and talk a little bit about the meaning of Christmas to you. So I am going to shrink down to size and let you two take over the stage, and please share some positivity with us.
Okay, I'm curious if we can make this even a better connection.
No, that's
Is
worse.
that too bright?
Yeah. Does it go any lower?
We can try. No.
There you go. That looks pretty good.
Okay. All right. So fire away.
Yeah, I just want you guys to go on ahead and take over and just give us your thoughts on the holiday, and you can talk about whatever you want. And let's just spread some positivity and really help some people keep their chins up this time of year.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, I actually work in the field of transformation, so I do hear a lot. But I know that people have been through loss, or they have expectations that Christmas is supposed to show up a certain way, or, they've had some big eruption in their family. So all of those factors can really affect how they feel. And Christmas just seems to bring it out. It's sad to think that when we're celebrating the birth of Christ, that we can't be more joyful. And so I want to share some things that I've learned that I think might help you. One of the thoughts is that when we're in a state of gratitude, and you probably hear about that, be thankful for things. And we just got through Thanksgiving, so we had that opportunity to think about what we're grateful for. But what happens just from a science perspective is it opens up the frontal part of the brain. So when we're not in gratitude, or we're feeling some doldrums or some angst about family life or whatever, it doesn't open that frontal cortex. So when we're in gratitude, it does, and it creates almost like many people have determined that it's a hormone that gets released. It makes you feel good, feel joyful. So I would encourage you to think on things that are enjoyable and grateful for what you have, even just small things. I mean, it doesn't have to be major, but most people don't really think about, I have breath today, or I have my health, or, I enjoy my little animal that's sitting here listening. So all those things, she gives me joy every day.
I thought you were talking about Les as your animal. That
Oh, right. No, well, he's not that cute. But she's a love bug. So what they found is that when you think on these grateful thoughts, it can actually lower blood pressure. It can help your body heal better, and it provides stress release. So being joyful about what you do have is important. Even if you're single and you think, "Gosh, I don't have a family," or "I'm all alone." Um, I personally have a strong faith, so I don't think I'm ever all alone. I feel like I can draw and access on my relationship with Christ to help me feel like, there's somebody advocating for me, and there's always that peace that I can draw on. I just picked up a Christmas card that had joy and peace, and I think it's a matter of where we put our mindset. So we can choose to put it on things that are difficult, or we can choose to put it on things that we're positive. And so our belief patterns really do affect us, believe it or not. It's easy to shift that if you are aware where your head is focused. So that's important. And a lot of people stuff a lot of their emotions with food, and I work in that arena some. And so I was talking to a young girl today, and she was saying, "Oh my goodness, I've really stepped up the eating, that she doesn't want." And so she said, "It's a lot about my family relationships." So we just sort of talked through it. And by the end of the session, she was feeling like, "Gosh, I was able to get this out." And so sometimes it's just talking to a safe party or somebody that you can get encouragement from. So I'd encourage community and being real with people, not just camouflaging your feelings. So that's important, to feel your feelings, but move through them. Don't stay stuck in the depression and ways that our thought process can affect us.
Suzanne, a real quick question for you. Somebody who is looking for that comfort, I guess is the best way for me to ask this question. If somebody's looking for the comfort of something to love, if they're feeling alone and they want that feeling of that you have of not being alone, what is the best way for them to approach somebody in the religious world? What's the best way to approach somebody about it, to where it's kind of uncomfortable starting something new, even with something as simple as church? It's hard to walk into a new church and just go in and full fledged. What's the best way that you have found for somebody to come into that kind of a relationship?
Well, I think, there are support groups out there, and some of them aren't terribly religious, which may be a better step in the direction of getting support. So I would encourage that. They're through 12-step programs. They're codependent programs for people that have relationship problems. There's grief support groups. So, maybe starting with an outside group or a nonprofit group could be very helpful. I've been involved in a nonprofit, and we reach out once a month and bring people in to pray for. Even if it's just prayer they're asking for, or, maybe to team up with somebody that they can be a friend with, maybe a I don't know, partner through business. But if they're not in a church, I think it is hard to go into one. And sometimes there are groups in the church that I find are particularly effective. And that way, that would be a small environment that they could start getting involved in. Or they could reach out. One of the things that people do is give. When you're giving, you're actually getting. So they give to a nonprofit during this time of year where
Yep.
families are struggling, and maybe they get to know some of the people in the nonprofit that can be a friend to them.
Les,
You bet.
this is fantastic. And did you want to add anything to this?
Oh, you bet. One of the things I want everybody to think about is the beauty of the world. In fact, if you're feeling lonely or you're starting that direction, I suggest you look on nature. Is it a flower? Is it a mountain? Is it a dog? And if you look at it and feel at that point, remember the same creator made that flower or that dog or that mountain that made you. And so the beauty is there no matter what. And one of the things that I really want to express that the scripture says is the biggest way to get in touch with the Lord is through our weakness. You don't have to be strong. He says through our weakness, we find his glory. He also said, Peter himself said he was the ultimate sinner. In other words, the ultimate person that messed up and sinning just means missing the point. Don't condemn yourself. He never does. He's just grace and mercy. And that's one of the things that remember, whenever you're feeling alone, he's inside of you and he wants to talk to you. He wants to hear all the things that you're upset at. And you also want to hear the things you're excited about. Tell him that you absolutely love these lights. I mean, thank him for allowing your eyes to see these colors. And that's one of the things that every day, if you I guess, appreciate or ask the Lord to help you see the good in things, because he said everything is good, then it's a relationship. He designed us to be weak and him be strong in the love, joy, peace, and so forth. And so the one big thing I would say is you're never alone. And one thing Suzanne was saying, if you write it down, everything you're grateful for. It might be the fact you can see. It might be the fact that you can taste food. It might be the fact that if you have a pet that, like our Sadie here, she likes to sit on our lap and it feels so neat. And she's also very huggable. And that's one of the things that I tell her all the time. She's my huggy bear. And so these are the feelings that the Lord gave you. And too many people don't understand that that is so precious. And everybody that has all the physical things, they can be as alone as you with a big house or a fancy car or whatever, because the togetherness is inside with your creator.
Well, you know what? And unless my 3, 4, 5, whatever, huggy dogs, you see them quite often as they come in and they join me. Mine are not a lot of fun when they sit on your lap. They're larger dogs.
Nice.
It's a good thing I've got a larger lap. Let's just put it that way. So,
Yeah.
but, I would just like to ask one further thing, and Les, once again, as always, I want to thank you very much for your service of our country. Suzanne, I would like to thank you for supporting Les and the service. But if there's anything that you would like to say to somebody who's really, really lonely right now, what would be that thing that would just that you hope you can offer them that will help uplift them at this time?
You want to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I would say, reach out to someone that you feel is a safe person. I love to reach out to people that are lonely, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm always available just to talk. But more than that, I think just knowing that we may not have family. We may not even have people that are safe in our family. But there are outreaches that really want to care about people, and nonprofits. And um, I would encourage you to not be alone. Reach out to someone so you're not just being alone with yourself.
I
But
agree.
it's okay. It's okay if you are.
Mm-hmm.
You can reach out to God. He's always there for you, ready to embrace you.
And
And one of the things I would really suggest, YouTube is free, and whether it's on a cell phone or a computer, and there's there's one that I really suggest you listen to, and that is the Father's Love Letter. And just allow those words to penetrate deep in your heart, and you'll really realize that the same one that created the universe is giving you those feelings. And if you release them and just feel, and then there's others on there, if you can listen to different things and allow, and it was exactly what Suzanne was talking about. Needless to say, the people here probably heard J.W. Wilson talk. And when you are in gratitude and when you are seeing the beauty of things, there's part that opens your brains, which produces dopamine and three other things that he talks about. And that's your natural ability to comfort yourself that God gave you. And it's in your brain. And all we need to do is activate it.
This is wonderful, and I want to thank both of you. I want to wish you both a very, very Merry Christmas, and definitely a Happy New Year, a happy holiday season for both of you. I would like to thank you so very much for joining us here on the Miracle of a Community That Cares. Thank you for your friendship, your partnership, and your support on everything that we've been doing. And really, thank you so much for the kind words. I think that the words are going to help out somebody. And the best thing that we can do is continue to talk, because eventually someone's going to even accidentally hear these words and it'll help them. So I greatly appreciate your very, very kind and wise words.
Okay. Well, you have a great evening
Yeah.
and Merry Christmas.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
All right.
Bye-bye now.
You will see a link below, and that is the link to Father's Love Letter, or the Father's Love Letter that Les was talking about. I want to thank Les very much for joining us, and I appreciate him for everything that he does for this channel. He's been a sponsor now for over 2 years. He's been a platinum partner, and I appreciate that very much. It helps us grow, and we're hoping that here in the near future, if you're looking for a way to find the smarter way to attract people to your business, you need to get a hold of Les. Okay. You've had Les's information right up here. You can see what we've got by going to Les's Corecentrica page on our website, and all you have to do is go to as you can see here, this is what his page looks like. Just type in Les Simpson or go to Corecentrica, or you can type out the whole thing, www.communitypayitforward.us/Corecentrica Les Simpson. You can also get a hold of Les at 303-579-6881. 303-579-6881. I do suggest it take and go back on this channel right now that you're watching. If you're watching on one of the pack channels, if you go back in time just a little bit, you can watch the last two monthly episodes with Les and I, he does bring on a guest who is just amazing. I love the shows. I thought they were so very, very, not just entertaining, but they were extremely well put together, and a lot, and I mean a lot, of great subject matter. I do want to thank Les and his beautiful wife again. I really do appreciate that. Those are the kind of things, folks, that a miracle of a community that cares is looking for. We're looking to do things like this, talk about things that are important to us during the holidays. There are people out there who are very lost right now, or just beginning their adult life. We know everything when we're younger. Every single one of us, we know everything when we're younger. Yet when it comes time, when we get a little bit older and we start losing a little bit of that knowledge, and we realize we didn't really know anything, we start to think about, God, if I would have known that things were like this, I could have done things a little bit differently, and I think that I could have created something much better for myself. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a way for us to give people that little bit of love, give people that, that little bit of inspiration, that little bit of sharing our knowledge, what we've learned with people. I don't want to say knowledge. Okay. We're not looking for people to be smart Alex. We're looking for them to really take and bring people underneath our wings, bring people underneath our experience. We're also looking for people who want to share memories. I think it's kind of funny. My brothers and I, when we were growing up in Kansas, I find it really funny that one of our, we would get bikes for Christmas or something like that, along with also getting, aging here, we would get records. I remember my first ever record was REO Speedwagon High Infidelity. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Charlie ended up getting a record. I think it might have been the Go-Go's or something like that. And it was like the Go-Go's very first album. But our big present was we got bikes. Well, we went out and we started riding, and I tried to help. Tried to help Charlie get his bike working and everything. And being that big brother, trying to help out my little brother, trying to do things, make things really cool. And we wanted to put the riding pegs on, and I tried to help him put the riding pegs on the front, but I ended up making a huge mistake, and I loosened the bolts up front. Of course, we weren't very skilled in the BMX thing, and Charlie went to go and pop his wheelie. He popped his wheelie, and all of a sudden you saw that front tire take off in front of him. This was the day when they had those big bulky necks on the handlebars, and Charlie ended up hitting that hard. So Charlie, I'm not sure if I've ever apologized for this, but sorry. I didn't know. But you got to take it from the guy who also tried to put a tire on a truck when he first learned how to drive, and he put the tire on backwards. So in my case, what were you letting me work on your bike for? Yeah, I'm not going to blame you for my silliness here. I'd like to introduce you to another friend of mine. someone else who has graciously given us a video. She is brand new to the Community Pay It Forward family, and we are thrilled to have her as part of the program. I'm just, this is so great. This is what we're looking for. And we are looking for you to continue to leave these messages. You can do it by filling out this form, recording a message and sending it to us. Or we've got another way of doing it by sending your form through a link, called Transfer Now. It's all one word, transfernow.net. Transfernow.net. You just simply record a message and send it to us through transfernow.net. When you do this, you record your message and then you drop it into where it says drop your recording. You let it upload, and it will ask you who you want to send it to. You simply send it to my email, and I'm sorry, I should have done this earlier, but it's Zak, Z-A-K, at communitypayitforward.us, and when you do that, it'll come to us. And we're going to continue to show these videos for a little while. So even though the initial program is done and over with, we will still continue to show these videos. So go to transfernow.net and record a video, send it to Zak at communitypayitforward.us, because we're looking for videos like this one.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon. Hope you're having a wonderful day or a great evening wherever you may be. My name is Geneva. You can also call me G. Wanted to jump on and just share a message. I know holiday season and Christmas time can be filled with emotions. And sometimes those emotions aren't the happiest or the most fulfilling. And so if you're able to receive anything, I hope you're able to receive my love, the space that I'm holding for those who need space held this time of year. Know that you're important, know that you're loved, and if anything, this is a reminder to myself too. Try to find the brightness and the light and the good times that we get to have, because it's another day that we're alive. Have a Merry Christmas.
Hello world. My name is Z, or you can call me Mr. Z. I am a web developer, and I am also a consultant at Z World Webs. My one goal is to develop custom websites that are specifically catered to your organization's needs. I completely understand that building a website is an exhilarating, exciting, and significant step in connecting with your audience. Your organization has Z potential to make a meaningful impact, whether it's supporting animal rights, advocating for equality, combating human trafficking, or honoring the brave individuals who have served our country. Your mission is too important to be held back by the challenges a website can present, and I am here to ensure that your website works for you, not against you. Whether it's maintaining, developing, or redeveloping a custom website that is specifically catered to your needs. And with that being said, I would be more than delighted to learn more about your organization and, of course, develop a website Z World is waiting for. Thank you.
Hey, I do want to thank our first reader today, Maggie van Galen. You can find more about Maggie van Galen by going to her page, which is on communitypayitforward.us. Simply type in Maggie van Galen, or type in you can type in author, or you can type in she is she's part of our giving program because she is a copywriter. She is a wordsmith. Okay, so she's able to turn words into business. And when you shop with Maggie van Galen, you get to support wonderful, wonderful programs. Hey everybody, it's Zak Clayton there trying to help people like our friend Molly at Ambo. Okay, again, Molly went through a very traumatic thing as a young child, event as a child. Holly Miller has worked her butt off trying to create a program to help women who have went through very traumatic events in life. Turning these, look, you're never going to forget these traumatic events. It's just not going to happen. But you don't have to let it ruin your life. So the QR code right above my head right now, shop with Maggie van Galen. Go, if you're in business and you want to turn your words into new business, and you tell them, hey, I found you through Community Pay It Forward. Maggie will then send us what is we call a referral award. When we get that referral award from you, we turn it into a program called Shop, Click, and Pick. And that Shop, Click, and Pick can support organizations like Holly's program to help women rediscover and redefine their lives after traumatic instances. Introducing Shop, Click, and Pick, the simplest way to support those doing good in communities everywhere. We understand that shopping is a necessity, but with a slight adjustment, you can make a huge difference without spending any extra money. Here's how it works. Please visit communitypayitforward.us and navigate to the Find Your Partners tab. Discover our verified giving partners, which are trusted allies ready to meet your needs. Shop with any of the partners that resonate with you. Click a picture of the receipt or invoice, then pick the mission partner you wish to support and use their QR code to send the receipt directly to us. After that, all you have to do is sit back and enjoy your purchases, knowing that you've made a meaningful change for someone in need. Community Pay It Forward amplifies your business's impact by sharing the story of those who require your services, rallying support for those who need us all. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. All right, boys and girls, are you all ready? Because I got a very, very special present for you. Before he went on his long journey all around the world, he contacted me. And, he was like, you're kind of like one of my elves. And I told him, Santa, I'm sorry, I can't be one of your elves because one of the elves can't be fatter than Santa Claus. It's just true. And I'm bigger than Santa Claus is. So, but he wanted to work with me because he wants you to understand that, guess what? We can all help people. All we have to do is work together. And I am very, very proud to introduce to you the Santa Claus he lives in Europe in his off season, where sometimes you go on vacation to a place. Santa likes to go to Europe. And he took time before he went on his journey to read you this story. And I'm proud to present to you Santa.
Atol's Wonderful Christmas by Henley Santa. Illustrated by Mudassir Abid, with an introduction by Michael Rosen. As far back as Atol could remember, he'd always wanted a dog. He asked his mum every year and she always said, "We'll see." At last Mum said, "Santa will bring you a dog this Christmas." Just before Christmas came around, there was a great flood and the river burst its banks. The dog that Santa was going to give Atul was washed away in the flood. Santa was not able to find another dog for Atul anywhere. Santa said to Atul's mum, "All I have on my sleigh to give Atul is this drumstick. I will load it with Christmas magic and we will see what happens. I must give him a present because he is such a good and kind boy. As soon as I finish my last few deliveries, I will look for his missing dog." Atul was sad at first, but he made the best of it and treated the stick as if it was a dog. "Look, Mum, I trained my stick to do tricks. He can do stay, lie down, play dead, roll over, and fetch." Mum laughed and called, "Atul, take your stick and play outside." Atul tied a bit of string round his stick and took it for a walk. Across the river he met the village baker. She was surrounded by black smoke, coughing and crying. "What's wrong?" "The river flooded and all my kindling is wet. I can't light my fire to bake my bread. I have my..." Atul's Wonderful Christmas by Henley Santa. Illustrated by Mudasir Abid, with an introduction by Michael Rosen. As far back as Atul could remember, he'd always wanted a dog. He asked his mum every year and she always said, "We'll see." At last Mum said, "Santa will bring you a dog this Christmas." Just before Christmas came around, there was a great flood and the river burst its banks.
Hey everybody, it's Zak Clayton with Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels. I want to welcome Joel White to Community Impact. Hey Joel, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much, Zach, for this opportunity. It's been really nice. Looking forward to it, mate.
Not a problem. I love what you're doing because you're focusing on something that unfortunately, and I don't want to shame anybody when I say this, but I do think, and I believe that you feel the same way. I do think it's something that we kind of forget, that men every once in a while need that support as well. We do focus a lot on other areas that need support, and every once in a while we do forget that, you know what? There's a lot of stuff being thrown at men, and we kind of forget about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Zach. It's not just about sort of forgetting about it. We get carried away with the stories that we're told from a young age, that men are tough and men are strong and men don't cry and men can manage their emotions and men don't need anybody to speak to and, they can move on and, get your act together, man up. And, these are various stories I'm sure is shared across all cultures, whatever country you're in. But the irony of it is, Zach, is a lot of that is not true. It's not the case. But when it's pushed on you in the way it is, you don't even question it. And that obviously where a lot of problems come, as we'll talk later, as men get older, when they realise, or they don't realise, that they don't even know who they are anymore because of the things that they're told. It's not the case.
I think that one of the things that we have learned throughout time is that men who hold things in, they don't have healthy lifestyles. They don't have my grandfather, for example, when he was, World War II veteran, and he held everything in. He didn't talk about the war. He didn't talk about any of that. And it led to a long life of drinking and not, he didn't really care about his own, where he lived. He lived in these real crappy little apartments. I mean, I still remember walking into this one room little apartment, and that was good enough for him, and I don't know if that was a way of he punishing himself for the things that he felt or what it was, but I know it led to, in the end, that all led to part of his demise. And it was something that, suck it up, buttercup, or rub a little dirt in it and get up off the ground and do what you do. These are all something that those are really bad ways of dealing with things, right?
Massively, Zach. And you've said such a lot in a short period of time there, and I'll try and unpack bits of that, to be honest. One of the things what men seem or do, not even seem, do struggle a lot with is something called shame. And shame is it's not even a feeling, it's a really strong emotional response. And if you were to look at a dictionary definition of what shame is, it's basically the judgment of all of yourself, the whole bit of yourself, every last bit, everything you do, what you say, how you act, how you move. It's the entirety of who you are. And a lot of men drop into that aspect of shame. And it's different from guilt. Guilt is if you've done something wrong that has been judged to be wrong and you want to make amends. Whereas shame's different. Shame is literally the entirety of you is bad or awful or whatever it is. And what's really interesting, and you touched upon it there with what you're talking about. Was it your dad or your granddad you were talking about?
It was my grandfather. Yeah, my granddad.
Your grandfather, that classic example, men find themselves perhaps doing things they aren't proud of. We put it in that way. And then they feel they've got to punish themselves for it. And that's what shame is. But what's really interesting, Zak, is when you peel back, and we've touched on it a bit here, when you peel back through that emotion of shame, of that judgment, because it is a judgment, is what's behind that. And what I mean what's behind that, Zak, is that, and we're talking a bit about before, as men, we carry these stories. We carry these stories in our head. And when we come into this world, like your granddad and yourself and me and anybody else who's a male, we come into this world as a blank slate, almost like a clean slate. We are completely in the present moment. We are witnessing the world around us. Not the word witness. That's more than seeing. We witness. We're part of it through our senses. And it's only when somebody goes good baby or bad baby or good boy or whatever that we pick that story up. And we think we've got to move in a certain way then to get good baby or good boy and away from bad baby. And all these stories start to line up, and then they build into obviously what we're talking about here. And at some point, your granddad would have had a story, you need to go and fight for your country because that's what men do. Whether you wanted to do that or not, that story has been really imprinted in there. That he's gone off and done that, and hence that goes into it. But the interesting thing, what happens, and again, we'll touch more into this, as we pick up these stories as men and we play them in our head, whether we realize it or not, our physical body reacts to them, Zak. Our physical body reacts because it's basically reacting like, please stop putting that unhealthy thing into your body because it's having an impact. If we've gone off, you must have had that, Zak. You've had that late night kebab, or you felt a bit hungry and you've gone to fast food place around the corner and the pictures look great and you buy it and you eat it all. And then later you're like, ugh.
Yep.
And what does he want to do? He wants to get rid of it, and it gets rid of it very effectively. We won't go into detail how, but we can read between the lines. But when that story's in your head, it's not as easy to get rid of. So your body just constantly reacts to it. It might react by increase in heart rate. Your breath might get shallower, or it might get heavier. You might start to sweat because the physical reactions, your body's helping you. It's saying you need to do something different. And if you don't do something different, those signals get stronger, and obviously your body starts to help you out in a different way, like shut you down or make you go to bed or whatever. But what happens, Zak, is we speak to our friends and they go, what's wrong with you? Man up. You'll be all right. Move on. Do you know what I mean? Big and strong. Or you go to your doctor or what health service, whatever that looks like, and they go, that's depression, or that's trauma, or that's anxiety, and you need these pills, and off you go. But what you never get down to, Zak, is what's the underlying cause, which is this story. It's a story where all these things start. But unfortunately, we get so wrapped up in all this stuff. Very rarely do we actually bring it back to ourselves, to be honest. Very rarely.
Shame is something that every single one of us have, and it's part of life. Shame is something that we live with every day because it's something that we've experienced, can shame be good for us?
And it's interesting that shame isn't necessarily what we experience every day. It's a story we create around it in regards to what we're told. Because when we come into the world, that we don't come in as shame or guilt or even a man. We just come into the world. Mm-hmm. So it's something we actually pick up through where we interact with our world, and we try to make sense of an experience that is usually based on someone telling us when we're younger what it is or isn't and how we should do a certain thing. And then we take that as gospel in a way, that's how it should be done. And the problem with that is, Zach, is then we then get into the bit what you talked about there, what's good and what's bad. And that creates a minefield about like what's a good man and what's a bad man. And then it gets even more entwined with that. And if anything, it's not even a case of shame being good or bad. It's the whole thing that it doesn't have to be that way. That it doesn't even belong to us from that degree. You know, if anything, that is a collection of, you know, shame. Breaking it down is going back to that story which is a lot for a lot of men who are listening now or will listen to this later. The age-old "I'm not good enough." You know, that's a classic man story. I'm not good enough. Why can't I? X is better than me. All these are classic stories that men carry. Classic.
What do we need to do? What is one of the first things we need to do to take and control this shame and make sure this shame becomes a learning moment or learning opportunity rather than a punishing opportunity? Because I think that's where you really learn. You can use it as a learning thing. Hey, you know what? This is what you did. You know, it wasn't the best of things to do. You know, you could have done better than this.
Yeah.
So take and do this rather than this is what I did. Oh my God, this is who I am.
Absolutely. Literally what you said there points exactly towards that is, you know, towards moving through that. And again, it's how you look at things in regards to that. Okay, it's a whole judgment of self, but the irony of it is what is the evidence for that? And where is that evidence from? And a lot of that evidence is used from people who don't know you, or it's self-certified because that it must be true because I'm saying it to myself. And when you start to, and what we call that is it's taking the evidence to court. It's literally visualizing being in a courtroom. What is the evidence for these thoughts that you have about yourself? And what you'll find very quickly is there is no evidence or very little evidence. And that can be really useful to take that step back, Zach, and just look at things in a slightly different way. But also what you said there as well, Zach, is also really important that I've just lost my train of thought. Where was it going?
No, I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, no, it just went. Oh, that's what I was going to say. The other thing as well, which comes into it, which I say to a lot of people I work with, everybody has a story to tell, their own personal story, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. What matters is what you do about it now, because what you do about it now determines what comes next, and it's absolutely paramount to see it that way. Absolutely paramount. And also what this fits into is another piece, and I'm doing lots of little bits here, but they're all useful if people are listening to this in slightly different ways of dealing what we're talking about here is shame. You know, and the other bit which comes into shame, which again, people have a very different understanding of it. We're back to stories and the impact it has, which is forgiveness, Zach. Forgiveness is a massive thing. And forgiveness is more so for yourself than for anybody else. It's not saying, oh, there, it doesn't matter that you hurt A, B, and C. It's about, okay, well, that's happened. This is where we are now. What we're going to do different going forwards, and how can we do that? Because to some degree, shame in what behaviour, and you talked about your grandfather there, how a lot of men deal with shame, they go down that route of punishment / self-harm. So drinking too much alcohol, taking drugs, going out and having illicit sex, whatever it might be, a lot of it is risk-taking behaviour. Because it's all down to, I deserve it for what I have done. And that is far opposite than what forgiveness is for self. And the importance of, I guess, taking that responsibility and doing something different going forwards. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's enough. There's that age-old saying, put the whip down. You've whipped yourself enough. Put it down. Now's the time to do something different if you want to do that. And I think that's the crux bit in it, that personal responsibility piece.
Yeah, which is harder for somebody to overcome, self-shame or shame that's brought upon you by someone else?
That's a really interesting one. Again, they are both difficult. I guess if the shame has been, well, they both. If the shame is brought on by somebody else, that helps in a way to see it from a different angle because it's somebody else than yourself. Because when it's yourself doing it to yourself, then obviously that's going to be harder. But they both share that same thing, of being able to take a step back from the evidence to look at that. We're back to that piece of forgiveness as well, of compassion for yourself. Where it's somebody else putting it on you or yourself, it's bringing it back to that. But like I said, it goes back to identifying those stories. What stories do you keep telling yourself in your head that's leading to that behavior, that emotional trigger of shame? Is it, like I said before, I'm not good enough, I'm not a real man, whatever it might be? And it could literally be writing those questions out or statements that you say to yourself and researching it. What does it mean to be a real man? What does it mean to be good enough? What does it mean to be, which is a classic in the UK at the moment, breadwinner? What does it mean to be a breadwinner in the family? What does that actually mean? And is that actually who I am? Because all this shame, a lot of what underpins shame is people, men particularly, they don't know who they are. They've never been shown. So one of the issues in the UK for a lot of men is they don't necessarily have a role model per se. They don't know what it looks like. And the problem is when you are looking outside of yourself for the answers, and then you're scorned for doing that for experience, and then it's a shame is then put on you by somebody else, or you take that in on yourself. It makes it very difficult. But the irony in all this, Zach, is when you start to look at the evidence for why we have these stories playing in our head, at least shame and what other people are saying to you. Now, a lot of it doesn't even belong to us, because it goes back to what we were saying before, Zach. We weren't born with it, so why are we taking it on and shaping our lives around things that are not true? And I don't know about you, Zach, from my personal experience, if I am willing in that moment to take the time to take a step back and be, if you want to call it state of awareness, presence, your mojo, what you find is you find the answer, which is inside ourselves. Yeah? Have you had that, Zach, where an issue, you've weighed up a situation, you kind of get that gut instinct? Have you had that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you think about those times when you've listened to that, how more favourable the outcomes were for you and everybody else.
Yep.
Those times, Zach, where you don't listen to your gut instinct, and look what happens differently.
And I think that kind of leads up to what my next question was. Is it easier to overcome shame if you know who you are, if you know who you want to be, if you know what your end goal is, rather than listen to somebody else's version of what you should be?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. And what I call that, Zach, and again, I bring this into conversations that I do and different sort of workshops and things like that. I call it your IDP. And what I mean by IDP is your identity, your purpose, your direction. You know, that they are absolutely crucial for, you know, for a man. And in regards to identity, it's finding it by putting all those stories aside that we get told we are. You know, that we should be a good husband and a good father and the breadwinner and a good brother. And if you're not all that, then you're bad. So they're all those are stories in themselves. And when we start to question the evidence, we step out that we not actually are those things. And what we are is unique for each individual, which is found within themselves. And when you start to move all that stuff away, it then becomes clearer what that is. And I guess looking at another way, Zach, when we're born in this country, in the UK, you get a birth certificate. The birth certificate says on it, this is your name, your date of birth, time of birth, who mum and dad is, beautiful, and that's what you get. Yeah? And at the end of your life, when you die, you get a death certificate. And what does it say on that? It's the time of death, place of death, cause of death, whatever else. What it doesn't say on those pieces of paper is, well, you could have been a better dad, or, you know, you could have worked a bit harder in your job role, or you were a business owner for 30 years. It doesn't say any of that because it's meaningless. It's not important. It's not who you are. And I think when you get straight with that then makes it easy into what is your direction. So what is your purpose? And purpose means a lot for different people, Zach. You know, for me personally, what purpose is, through being clear about my identity and questioning all the evidence and working through what I've worked through, my purpose aligns in life that I want to really make a positive difference in empowering other people towards greater lives so they can do the same for others. That's why I work with men over 30, and we'll talk about that a bit later. And because I'm clearer now with my purpose, I'm clear with my direction. And hence, the direction I do is working men's mental health with men over 30. So once you get a clear idea about your identity, it comes a bit clear with your purpose, it comes a bit clear with your direction. Direction will change, Zach, because that's connected to your job role and whatever it is. But usually your identity doesn't, and that feeds into your purpose and then so on from there. What a lot of people do, they start at direction because they're told by their partner or mum or dad or school or whatever it is, you've got to be this and you've got to be that. And it isn't the case. So you get a lot of men in careers doing jobs they got told to do, didn't really think about it themselves, and they're unhappy and they're miserable. And they find themselves engaging in certain behaviours, addictions that aren't particularly great. And again, I can only reference off the UK. There's a massive surge in the UK, particularly on men into sectors such as IT and communication, finance and investment. Why? Because that's what men should be doing, and that's where the money is, and that's where they'll be successful. The rates of burnout are astronomical, Zach. Sickness is through the roof. You know, stress is horrendous. And then we've got other industries here in the UK that are deemed to be manly industries like construction and mechanics. They have some of the highest rates of self-harm and suicide that you could imagine. Think about a mechanic and a builder. They've got all the tools they could ever dream for. If they choose, unfortunately, to take that permanent solution. It doesn't have to be this way, Zach. It really doesn't. And that's the issue when people get stuck on direction and don't know really about their purpose and their identity.
You know, it's actually kind of funny. I know some I know some mechanics that are the happiest people I've ever met in my life because their dream is to work on cars. And I think, or on, in my case, on motorcycles, you know, working with motorcycles, that's one of the things that's what their dream is. And I think the best thing you can do for yourself, okay, for your purpose, for who is in this vessel and in this vessel. I think the best thing you can do is, while you're doing it, if you're miserable, you're not treating this vessel properly. You're not feeding this vessel like it should be fed. If you go to work every day, and I hate this effing job. And Joel, I know this because before my motorcycle accident, I said that 5-6 times a day. I would get out of my truck and I'd kick something, and I hate this effing job. I'd say it 5, 6, 7 times a day. I didn't care. I hated it. I wasn't happy with where I was at. I wasn't happy with the life I was in. I allowed my quote unquote responsibility
Yes.
to guide my actions instead of letting myself take control of who I am. And now I'm a much happier person.
Absolutely, Zach. And again, that goes back to something I said before. Responsibility is everything. It really is. And, life's really, really interesting that situations will arise and we face choices every single day, no matter how big or small they are. And at the end of the day, you can either choose to do the best. I hate using terms like you can either choose to make a decision that is best for you and the other party, whatever that looks like. No, best for you first, and I'll break that down afterwards. Or you don't. And what a lot of men do as well, they don't make a decision. What you've got to understand is that not making a decision is still a choice.
Yep.
And what life will do is your agency, your control window in that situation will narrow more and more. And as that does that, the window of life to make it for you grows greater and greater and greater. And unfortunately, the more that happens, the less favourable the outcome will be for you, because you've given it over to life to do it. And, the only way I can put it is, Zach, and you'll probably be able to relate to this, and then I'll pick up another point. Imagine your beautiful motorbike, yeah? You've got a beautiful motorbike. You've poured hours and hours into this bike, building it, cleaning it, whatever. Imagine going out on a Friday night in your local town, yeah? And you park out the most busiest, worst pub you can imagine, right? And you literally just get off your bike and go, hey, anybody want to ride my bike? I'll sit on the back of it. And you just hand those keys over to anybody else. Yeah? Would you do it? Of course you wouldn't.
No. Hell no.
No.
Oh, no.
But unfortunately, Zach, men do that quite a lot. That's what they do. When they've got a situation they don't particularly want to deal with, they don't make that they don't make that decision. And the other thing what you hit on as well, Zach, is absolutely clear. Depending where you want to come from, this is a vessel. And it's the only vessel we have. And if we don't look after it, then we've got a problem. And the eject button comes, and we can imagine what that looks like. And no longer are we in this vessel. And I said that goes back to what we were saying at the beginning. When we play these stories in our head, our vessel, the body is responding, going, please stop doing it. But it goes to the next level, what you're talking about, is that if you are 7 times a day, as you said, saying how much you hate that job, imagine that feeling that you're putting out around you. Do you think people want to be around you, Zach? When they see you swearing, kicking, punching?
Yeah, well, you know what? I knew that people didn't want to be around me until I jumped on the bike. And when I jumped on the bike, I became happy with my life, with that part of my life. And I could take on anything in the world, I mean, but it was a terrible I was doing terrible damage to myself because I was living a life that I didn't need to be living. And you're right. I love the analogy of, I was saying, hey, here's my life. I was handing the keys to my life over to my boss, saying, you know what? Go on ahead, ruin it. I don't need it no more. It is what it is. So, Joel, let's talk a little bit about your backstory. Let's tell people why you started this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the journey to where I am now, because it is a journey. That's how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's had many obstacles on the way, good, bad, or ugly. But you know what, Zach? I'm not going to go into all of it, but I wouldn't change any of them.
Yeah.
Because what I have been through has made me who I am today, and it's my choice what I choose to do now with it going forward. And I think that's really important to echo that and emphasize that. And it's not saying what people have done to me doesn't matter. But I'm not just jury executioner, Zach. I'm not going to waste my life trying to punish other people when I want to move on and become a better individual, whatever phrase you want to call it. But slightly off piece. Anyway, for me, Zach, it's that user what I was talking about before, early 20s, came out of university, Didn't really know what I wanted to do. Didn't really have a role model as a father in my life. I hadn't really got a clue. And it was only like, oh, you know what? Saw an advert somewhere. Let's be a counsellor. I guess that's where it started. And they need counsellors in school to help children. So why don't you go in the school and work? We called them, or at the time they were called disaffected young people, in regards to that problem children. No, children are not the problem. It's the school environment that's the problem, Zach, more than anything else. But anyway, when I started in the school, I was good at what I did. I really enjoyed relating to these young people. I got an offer. I couldn't refuse to become a teacher. Everyone wanted to be a teacher, Zach. Mum was a teacher. Dad was a teacher. Not what I wanted to do, but we're back to stories. Well, why don't you give it a go? You might enjoy it, blah, blah, blah. So I became a qualified teacher, really good at what we're doing. But I started to question why. Why am I doing this? Why am I not dealing with these problems at the age that I am? What had been coming up in my life when I was younger? Why am I just ploughing forwards? And I guess my answer to that was, I know what I'll do, Zach. I'll get a job and I'll work abroad because life's going to be better.
Yeah.
Life's going to be better when I'm in the sun. I can pack my bags and we're all good. But unfortunately, as you can see where this is going, Zach, when you pack your bags to go abroad, you don't leave your problems behind. They go with you in the suitcase. And for me, I went to Thailand, I went to Bangkok. People can imagine what that can be like for a man who's single and trying not to deal with issues and so on and so forth. And from there, I went to China. But by the time I got to China, Zach, I was in Shenzhen, just over the border of Hong Kong. All those problems that I'd those stories in the head that were playing, my body was reacting more and more. And I weren't paying attention to that because I was enjoying myself partying. And then it was, I'll take on more responsibility. So I was an A-level IT teacher. Then I became network manager. So I was managing all the technology budget for the college. And then I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll become a head of house because I'm good at that, pastoral care. So I started doing that. And it was like, I know what I can do. I've got a bit of free time. I'll do a master's degree. So then I started to do a master's degree. So you can see how all these physical reactions are building up. The writing's on the wall. I kept going. And for me, the only way I can put it is the wheels fell off when I got a new job in South Korea, mid 2013. And it was literally about hitting the F button. And do men hit it hard. We don't mess about when we made that decision as men. And that goes back to that emotions being all over the show. And when I hit that literally brought me into nervous breakdown, mental reset, what you want to call it. But I did it in style in another country and not my own country, where English wasn't really a spoken language per se in South Korea. So it was a miracle to get back to the UK. And a big shout out for my mum on that. My mum, 60 years old at the time, came home and brought me back. Because if she didn't, I'd be coming home in a body bag, Zach, because that's the level it got to. So when I was back in the UK, looked around for that support in our health system in the UK. And unfortunately, long waiting lists, major problem. When I did get on the list, as it were, mediocre support, overstretched service, couldn't afford private health. And you know what it came down to? Some men hit this, Zach, some don't. For me, I did, which is a sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I thought the only one who can sort this out is me. And that's where it started for me. I signed up to something called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, works at a subconscious level, starts with the stories. And literally within 6 months, Zach, I'd moved back into that place of stability. And it was right. Don't want to work with young people anymore. Love young people. Don't love the education system. Don't want to be part of it in the UK. And then that led me to the health and well-being of working with adults. And I was working, and over that period, so if you fast forward for 10 years, I'd worked a lot of roles in the health and well-being sector, third sector, foundations, charities, whatever you would call it, a NHS contract. But on the side, Zach, I had this calling to find a better way to help people one-to-one and deal with some of the issues that I was facing and I knew other people were facing, accessing support. And I found along that journey, a lot of people that I worked with were men. So in that journey of building that toolkit, Zak, I became a qualified counsellor. I became a qualified EMDR practitioner, motivational interviewing, life coach, lots of things. And all these are ways that we're looking for a better way of supporting somebody one-to-one with their mental health. But what I found, Zak, on this journey, which a lot of men can potentially relate to, is when you are in a setting where you've got stories playing in your head around men have got to be tough and strong and this, that, and the other, it can be difficult to talk about your issues, about your problems, without being triggered by them. And what happens to a lot of men is we become either aggressive or agitated, so we get labelled as angry man, even though we're not agitated. We shut down. Oh, men don't talk. No, we do talk. It's a bit overwhelming at that point. Or we leave. Oh, men don't complete services. Oh, well, DNA then, isn't it? But it's not. That they are reactions based on what we're talking about. The other thing what happens as well, Zak, is what I discovered as well, that between sessions, that's when a lot of men can reflect on stuff. And that can be overwhelming from that degree. And then it's like what I had. How long's a piece of string? How many sessions do I need? How much money have I got to throw at this? But also what unfortunately has happened to men who have accessed support in the past, that when they have spoken to somebody like their therapist or whatever, their therapist has had a chat with somebody else. And then before you know it, their details have gone out into that public domain. And it's awful. It's an awful experience to be in.
Yeah, and I really think one of the things that you were saying is that, you know, when you think that men don't talk, men don't do this, this is unfortunately one of the reasons why men fall into the drugs and the alcohol, because men feel that they feel the lack of insecurity that they can talk to somebody. They're fooled. Their brain is fooled into being able to trust anyone once they've opened up that can of beer, once they've had that shot. They've fooled themselves into being able to trust their friends who, you know, the truth is their friends are just as drunk as they are and they can share anything. But then the next morning you wake up and that's when you feel that shame. Oh shit, did I actually say that to that guy? Did I act? And then you've got to worry about what's going on next. And this leads to another cycle of trouble that you're in, you know. And look, guys, this is something coming from me, okay? It's never too late in life to find that pathway. Okay. I was 43 when the accident happened. 43. So think about it this way. 43 years ago, I was waking up every day saying, I hate my effing life. I hate my effing job. I hate the path I'm on. I hate everything about what I'm doing. Thank God for my boys and my motorcycle, because if it wasn't for them, life would have just been a hell for me, you know. So it's never too late to make this mistake. The mistakes you've got, you know, the one thing that you've got to do to make sure you're not making this mistake is don't fool yourself. Get the help that you need. There are ways out there that you can find that comfort level, and it does not look like a beer bottle. It doesn't look like a pipe, and it doesn't come in a vial.
And absolutely, Zak, you know, I couldn't agree more. You know, in regards to that journey I've been on, it took 35 years, 40 years, you know, I mean, to realize the things that I did. And, you know, if anything, just picking up on that, it's not mistakes, the learning experiences, if you're willing to do the learning. And what you said there is very clear with that. You know, men feel or told that they don't talk about their feelings when they talk to man up. But the irony of it is, you know, for me, I run men's groups here in the UK, in the area where I live. And rain or shine, I have men turn up. And some of the men's groups one particular men's group I can think of, we've got veterans in there. We've had people who served in the SAS for 22 years. We've got people who have done undesirable things. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in that room that they're in, there is no alcohol, there is no drugs, there is no pipe. There is a container where they feel safe, just to be themselves and just to talk. And there's no building birdhouses, and there's no there's no gardening. You don't need gardening and build birdhouses to have an activity for men just to be. And these men, be honest with you, Zach, they wouldn't even look at each other twice if they were outside on the streets. But the fact that they've come into this space, that's what you need. You need a safe space. And what I mean by safe is where you can literally just be yourself. You can let the bravado start to drop down without beer bottles or drugs or whatever it is. That's gold. And the other thing what I want to tackle here is that, which I've said a number of times, men do talk about their feelings. And to some degree, Zach, men are actually deeper than women. So much deeper and direct about being open with their emotions and their feelings. Far more than women could ever be. That sounds a bit sexist, but I can only go off my own personal experience and what I've seen. It's just unfortunate what happens when you hit the nail on the head. They unfortunately choose the wrong person to do it with, and particularly after they've had a few drinks. And when they come out and say something which is honest, honest and vulnerable, the reaction they get is not what they're looking for. So that creates a story of, I'll never be vulnerable again. Being vulnerable is a weakness. No, it's not. Being vulnerable is the greatest strength a man could be. What it's important to do is weigh up who you're doing it with in the first place. That's what's important, more so than anything else.
Yeah. Well, guys, just remember, you know what? That hot bartender only cares about you because, well, it makes her life better when she is better to you. So just remember that. Hey, Joel, and guys, look, we're not all the other thing that we're not trying to tell you. All right. You know what? Group therapy is perfect for some perfect. Yeah. Some people, it's not that way. Just a one-on-one. Okay. There's also therapies where you can listen to programs. Joel, you've got a couple programs that men can participate in, right?
Yeah. So one of the things from all the experience I was talking about, Zach, and the toolkit that I've got, that I'm in the process of launching a new program in December, which is called Rewired for Men. And Rewired for Men is about working with men aged 30 and above, to empower them to rewrite those unhelpful stories in their head, what we've been talking about. And by doing so, that they can be more clear about their identity, their direction, and most of all for men, emotional balance. Because those things make life so much easier to navigate, but more fruitful. And I've already mentioned why it's so important for men in regards to emotional balance. The beauty of what I do, Zach, and I don't call it a therapy, it's more than a therapy. And why is it more than a therapy? Because it's a bit like Fight Club, the film. You don't have to talk about your stories because you don't need to. So that's freeing straight away. I'm empowering men with this technique that they can use every day of their lives. They don't have to keep coming back to me all the time. Nice and simple to do that. And the beauty of it is, Zach, it's 4 hours. It's a 4-hour session in how it works. Set period of time, very, very clear. But going back to what I said before, Zach, I think when we were off camera, because you're not talking about your stories, it's discreet. So the information is not going to go anywhere because there is no information to go anywhere anyway from that degree. And the beauty of what I do as well, Zach, is I deliver it online. Yes, I'm based in the UK, but I deliver it online, giving men not just the opportunity in the UK, but also in the US and other countries around the world to access what I do.
Well, and I know that you charge £400, which is $501.22 here in America. I looked that up when you brought that up.
Love it.
And I'm going to tell you something, guys. A couple other programs that we've had on this show, that are well worth it. I'm not gonna badmouth anybody. every program is perfect for someone. That's just the way it is.
Absolutely.
Every program is perfect for someone. $500 is a really good price for a lot of these programs. So this is very affordable. And when is this? You're launching this December. Do you have a date yet, or?
Yeah, so I'm launching the program as a webinar, if you want to put it that way, which will be Tuesday, the 10th of December, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. That's UK time.
Right,
So
and that's going to be 2:30 East. That's 2:30 East. So on December what?
December the 10th, Tuesday, December the 10th.
All right. So
what I can do, Zach, is I can send you a link that you can share out among your viewers. So it's a case of you click on the link, you register. We use a platform called Zoom. I don't know if people are familiar with it over there. And it's free. It's a great opportunity just to learn about what I do, but more so the difference that I'm making to the lives of guys listening. That's why I do what I do.
Yeah, please do send me that link as soon as we're done here, and then when we go live with this, when I share this video, I'll show it the link right down here, and I'll make sure that it's on. I'll make sure it's on the information for people. Hey, Joel, this has been a good time, brother. Where are you at in the UK?
In where you mean? Where am I based?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm based Manchester.
Manchester. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, yeah. What's it? What are some of the big things that men struggle with over there that might be different than we have here in America? Is it an environmental? There are environmental differences. Yeah.
Yeah, there is, but generally they tend to be the same, Zach. And what I find with the men that I work with, they tend to fall into, there's lots of categories, but they tend to fall into very similar categories. And a lot of men struggle around three categories that are money, work, and relationships. And what I mean by money story is, I'm never going to earn enough. I'm always in debt. Why is this happening to me? Why aren't people buying from me? Work can be, which happens to a lot of men, I'm not working hard enough. I'm not making enough money for the family. Do you know what I mean? That's a classic one for men. And the relationship stories are like, why can't I be that perfect father? What's wrong with me? Why can't I be the best husband? Or it might be in some cases, Zach, unfortunately, which does happen in the UK, a lot of men find themselves in unhealthy relationships. Really unhealthy relationship where they're the ones who are being beat up or attacked or name called or all the rest of it, but they don't get out of them, Zach, because they're told, it's your role that you are the husband. You're supposed to deal with that. Do you know what I mean?
There is a lot of stigma for ending bad relationships.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time that and this is just personal speaking here. Ending my second relationship took me forever to do because you had that thought, do I want to be a 2-time divorcee? Do I want to end this relationship and have 2-time, I've been married 2 times. Oh, great. That means I've failed 2 times. Guys, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. All right. That's it. And, 2, 5, let's not get married 5 times. I mean, come on, that's pushing it. All right.
Yeah.
If you can't find the right person, maybe realize, hey, you just kind of enjoy being with women, and women or men. I'm not gonna preclude.
For sure, Zach, and there's 2 points in that what you're saying. Men are also victims of domestic violence.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And emotional abuse. Yes, we are. It's not all men on women. Women do that to men. Men do experience it. It is a 2-way thing. And the other thing which comes into it as well goes back to again what we said at the beginning. If you don't have that healthy relationship with yourself, with your vessel, whatever you want to call it, guess what? You're not going to find a healthy relationship with somebody else. If you can't love yourself, Zach, and like yourself, why would you expect somebody else to do it? And if you get into that relationship with a person who's also struggling to love and like themselves, it's not going to have a great outcome for either parties. It really isn't.
Yep.
At all.
Yep. And if you can't find the value in yourself, nobody else is going to be able to tell you what the value is. Because, you have to prove to people what your value is. And only you truly know what your value is. That's just the way you can't, other people cannot tell you what your value is.
Yes.
You have to find your value. And every single one of us, men, women, kids, boys, girls, every single one of us has value. Don't ever think that you don't have value in something, because every single one of us brings something to a table in every single situation.
Absolutely.
Don't ever let anybody dissuade you from that.
Absolutely. And I guess there's something on the back of that as well, Zach, and you touched it. If you don't look after yourself, nobody else is going to do it for you.
That's right. Yeah.
Why should they? If you're going to give everything away to somebody else, why should they stop taking from you? Because you keep giving it. So why should they stop?
If you lay down in the doorway, if you lay down in the doorway, don't get pissed when somebody steps on you.
Yeah. And keep stewing because you're not getting up.
Yep. So, Joel, I appreciate this, my friend. Please send us that information. And you know what? I love this conversation. This was a really good conversation. Please, anytime that you've got something to share, why don't you come back and join us?
I will do, mate. I really appreciate that. And thanks very much. All right.
Take care. I appreciate it. This has been Joel White with Rewired for Men. Remember, December 10th at 2:30 East here in the States, he's going to have a free webinar. You can find that information in the information tab below. Please look him up. Great. I had a great time. Thank you, Joel.
Same. Thank you, Zach.
Community Pay It Forward is excited to bring you a one-time year-end offer. Sign up for a gold or platinum giving or sponsorship package before December 31st, and we'll give you 2026 free of charge. That's a whole extra year of community support, visibility, and impact. Help your business grow while making a difference. With our exclusive packages, you're not just a sponsor, you're a partner in creating change. Offer ends December 31st, 2024. Reach out today and lock in your gold or platinum package before this offer ends. Let's make 2025 and 2026 years to remember. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together